which can be owned, possessed, or controlled by a person can be called property. It means if we can exercise certain rights with regard to a thing, we can call it a property. Now, property can be majorly classified into two categories. The first category is movable and immovable property. Movable property is anything which is not immovable. So, to understand the concept of movable property, we need to know what is immovable property. Immovable property is firstly land. So, anything which is below the land or above the land immediately is called immovable property. Second, which is attached to the earth. It means either rooted in the earth like trees or plants, or which is embedded in the earth. It means it is not rooted but it is within the earth like buildings, because the foundation of the building is always within the earth. So anything which is embedded in the earth can also be called immovable property. So trees, plants and buildings can be called immovable property. The third category of immovable property is anything which is permanently fastened to anything which is attached to the earth. It means कोई भी चीज जो चीज ऑलरेडी धरती के अंदर अटैच्ड है, चाहे रूटेड है या फिर एम्बेडेड है, उसके साथ परमानेंटली अटैच की गई है फॉर इट्स बेनिफिट और फॉर इट्स बेनिफिशियल यूज कैन ऑल्सो बी कॉल्ड अ प्रॉपर्टी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जो बिल्डिंग है वी कॉल इट immovable property because it is attached with the earth. Now anything which is attached to that building, it means doors, walls, windows, fans which are attached with that building for its beneficial use can also be called a immovable property. So the doors, windows, walls, fans, lights and anything which is attached to that building can also be called immovable property. Now the question arises, how can fan be called an immovable property? Fan is considered as immovable property so long as it is attached with that building. The moment we separate that fan from the building, it will turn into a movable property. So that is the major difference. Now, anything which is not immovable can be called movable property. Second category is corporeal or incorporeal property, or we also say tangible or intangible property. Now, tangible or corporeal property is the one which we can touch and see, like bed, fan, car, furniture. These things we can touch and see are called tangible property or corporeal property. Whereas, on the other hand, the other category is intangible or incorporeal property. These are those properties which we cannot touch or see, but we can exercise rights with regard to it. Such properties are called intellectual properties. Now, let's understand the concept of intellectual property. Intellect, it means mental faculty. So, any property or any creation which is the result of mental faculties is called intellectual property. So आपने अगर कोई भी चीज को create किया है by using your mental abilities, that will fall under intellectual property. It can be a piece of writing. आप चाहे पोएट्री लिखी हो, ड्रामा लिखा हो, कोई स्क्रीन प्ले लिखा हो, कोई सॉन्ग लिखा हो, इफ यू हैव written something, और आपने कोई आर्ट वर्क किया हो, कोई पेंटिंग बनाई हो, कोई ड्राइंग बनाई हो, कोई डिजाइन तैयार किया हो, या फिर आपने कोई इन्वेंशन की हो, any type of creation which is a result of mental faculty will fall under intellectual property. Now, to provide legal protection to these properties, or to put those properties under the legal ambit, the properties are classified. So there are certain categories of intellectual property. The first is patent, which is related to an invention, either a product or a process. आप किसी भी चीज की अगर invention की है, then it will cover under the concept of patent. Second is copyright, which provides protection to number of work, be it literary work, musical work, cinematograph films, sound recording and others. The third kind of intellectual property is trademark, which provides protection to any logo or sign of a brand which is either used for goods or services. It means अगर आप किसी भी ब्रांड के साइन को या फिर लोगो को प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे हैं, दैट इज विल फॉल अंडर ट्रेडमार्क. Next is trade secret, which protects any key information or formula of any company or a person. So that will be protected under the concept of trade secret. Next is geographical indication, which protects the interest of the producer of goods which have a significant feature due to the geographical region in which it is produced. These are the major categories of intellectual properties. All the intellectual properties are divided into two categories by under the Paris Convention 1883, that is industrial property and non-industrial property. Industrial properties are all the intellectual property except copyright, because they are subject to industrial application or commercial use. It means mere having abstract idea cannot be protected under intellectual property. They must have some practical utility. So if you have any abstract idea about, for example, if you have an idea that by mobile you can reach from one place to another, the way we do video call, so we are having a concept where one person can enter a mobile and can reach to another place. Now this idea is an abstract idea because it does not have any practical application. We cannot apply it. So the same cannot be protected under any intellectual property. But if I write this idea in a book form, in a poetry form, or in any literature form, then that idea can be protected under copyright, because under copyright it is not necessary that the idea or whatever we are writing or creating thing which falls under copyright must have a practical application or commercial use. So that can be protected under copyright but not under any other intellectual property. Therefore, Paris Convention divided intellectual property into two categories: industrial property and non-industrial property. So non-industrial property covers only one intellectual property right, that is copyright, whereas all other rights fall under the industrial property. Now we'll talk about the theories of intellectual property, which tells us the reason why intellectual property needs to be protected. The first theory is utilitarian theory given by Bentham. As per him, the intellectual property has a great significance or importance and use for the public at large, as they can use those products and goods. So it is necessary that the same needs to be protected. Second theory is economic theory, which says that the property which is worked by a person has a great economic significance for the true owner of that property, as he can exclusively use it and make profit out of that property by producing those goods and services, because there will be no competition in the market for that product. The third theory is deterrence theory, which says that intellectual property, the concept of intellectual property emerged to prevent others from infringing the rights of the true owner by making use of that property. So it prevents others not to use that property without the permission or consent of the true owner. The next theory is personhood theory, which says that intellectual property shows the personality of the owner of that property, because he shows his or her mind through that property. So the same needs to be protected. This theory is based on morality. I hope this video helps, and for more such videos please like and subscribe.